Hi, my name is Nancy Kagan from Summit Dental Partners. Thanks so much for tuning into our YouTube channel. We were very excited at the response we got to our Ask the Consultant page on our website. We anticipated that people would have questions that would have a common thread, because it's rare that someone has a question that nobody else would have ever asked, or a situation that no one else would have ever experienced. And these last few weeks, we got more than a few inquiries related to broken appointments and late cancellations. So I thought that I would address that in our session today. One of the big questions that people ask is, should we be charging for broken appointments? And what kinds of things can we do to minimize the number of last-minute cancellations and broken appointments that we have? We all know that they are just the most challenging part of the scheduling dilemmas that we face every day. Keeping a schedule full, or having a schedule that looks full that kind of falls apart. So what I'd like to do is shift the focus from how do we manage the broken appointment after it happened, and talk a little bit about how can we prevent broken appointments from happening. And I believe that broken appointments, or people that don't respect the appointments that they're given, is an issue that starts way before it happens. I think that the first thing you want to think about is, what's the policy? What is your office policy about how you manage last-minute cancellations and broken appointments? And once you know what your policy is, how does your patient know your policy? I'm sure you can relate that when you hand your patient, especially a new patient, when you hand them paperwork and they look at it all and roll their eyes and they fill out all the paperwork and they hand it back to you and you say, thanks, have a seat, we'll be right with you. If you ask that patient, even 30 seconds later, what the paperwork said, they might be hard-pressed to tell you. So, we really believe that the patient has to hopefully read it, see it in print, but also it has to be verbal. The patient has to hear it as well. And I think that it's well worth 30, 45, even 60 seconds to reiterate your policy to the patient. And one of the things that's really most important is not how you're going to punish the patient if they do something wrong in your practice, but more why you have to have a policy like that in place. So, working off the premise that without notice, when you're not given notice, you're not able to fill that slot with a patient who's been waiting to get in sooner. And sometimes the patient that you're addressing may be on that list and may want to be called to come in sooner, and you won't be able to do that. So getting the patient to kind of understand the policy, not just what the punishment is when the rules, if you will, are broken, I think is really important in making the patient understand just how valuable that that part of your office policy is. The other thing I think is really important is, how do you value the appointments in your practice? It's very easy to say to a patient, what day and time works best for you, and then giving them multiple opportunities to pick an appointment time. I think the patient should always perceive that they were lucky to get the appointment time that they have. It should never feel to the patient like, I had many choices, so if I don't keep an appointment, they have every reason to believe they would continue to have many choices when rescheduling. What we really want them to feel like is that someone took some extra steps and went just a little bit out of their way to get them the perfect appointment time. And I think anytime you can project that to your patient, so your patient walks away being grateful that they got the time they needed, and not thinking that it was easy, I think it increases the value of that time. And I think people really respect things they value, so we have to present the appointment time in a way that's extremely valuable to the patient. And to wrap up, the last thing I think is whether you should charge for broken appointments. I think many of you will agree that broken appointment charges tend to just clog up your accounts receivable, and they don't really always educate your patient the way you want them to. No one's going to get rich on broken appointment charges. So I don't think there's anything wrong with having it as a policy that the patient may be charged. But I think if you have a patient that is abusing the appointments that you're giving them repeatedly, the question to ask is really, is this a patient you really want in your office, and not how many times can I charge this patient and punish them for breaking the rules. So this is kind of a very quick and short synopsis about some of the things you can do to manage broken appointments and late cancellations. And if we continue to get a lot of inquiries about this, we can delve a little bit deeper at a future session. So thanks again for tuning in. I hope you found this helpful, and we'll see you again soon.